The mask I had was for that. That's for sure, yeah. Yeah, I know that you told me. She wants, we are all behind it, so it's such a no. Essential invitation for part of the show.
See you, Joe. This is
Yes, we might be for.
and I forget your name. Christina Ditcher. Good to see you. Yeah. Thanks for coming out.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Commissioners, if you please take your seat. I'd like to call the full board meeting to order. First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 3, invocation by Commissioner Leonetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got 3 quotes I'm going to give you here from 3 people that I think were pretty smart. First quote is this. It says, "Let us not seek the Republican answer or the Democratic answer, but the right answer. Let us not seek to fix the blame for the past. Let us accept our own responsibility for the future." That was by John F. Kennedy. This is from a CEO. "My message to Washington is very simple. Face reality. Be leaders. Demonstrate accountability. Engage in principle compromise. And understand your job is to find solutions." That's by Kenneth Chenault, who was a CEO for American Express from 2001 to 2018. And finally, my last quote is this. "It is amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit." That's from Harry S. Truman. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4, adoption of the agenda. Need a motion to adopt. Commissioner Brown, supported by Commissioner Sauger. Any comments? Seeing no comments, please vote. Motion passes. Item number 5, approval of a minutes dated September 26, 2019. Need a motion? Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Leonetti. Seeing no comments, please vote. Motion passes. Item number 6, public participation. Any members of the public wishing to speak? You have 5 minutes. Any members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing no members of the public wishing to speak, we'll close item number 6. I wish we could. Item number 7, correspondence. We don't have any correspondence from the Office of County Executive unless our Deputy Executive would like to correspond with us right now.
You guys are doing a great job. Thanks for your
There you go. I like that correspondence. We'll close that. Item number 8, closed session. I need a motion to enter into closed session for the purpose of discussing the confidential memo dated October 9th, 2019 from Corporation Counsel. Moved by Commissioner Hawes, supported by Commissioner Kraft. Oh, I'm sorry.
When you come out of
Oh, okay, great.
John Shapka's name's on there. Somebody else doing it.
We're going to have Frank Crecia in closed session. And yes, our Corporation Counsel, yes. Motion passes, Mike. Okay, 9-0. So we are going to enter into closed session. Anybody? What's that? Yeah, would you take over for Elizabeth, please?
Give me more than 5 minutes, folks, hopefully, unless Mr. Crecia has a lot to talk about.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of closed session. Do we have a motion coming out of closed session?
Do.
Commissioner Leonetti?
I move that we concur in the recommendation of Corporation Counsel and we authorize county officials to proceed consistent with that recommendation.
I have support by Carabelli. Any discussion on this matter? Probably not. Please vote.
Yes.
There you go. Commissioner Sauger, did you vote?
Oh, yeah, I got it in there already.
All right.
I hope it recorded it.
Motion passes 9-0. Item number 9A, Blue Water Conservation District. Joe Cox, I'm bad with this name, District Manager. Hi, Joe. come on up. Can I get a motion to receive and file first? Commissioner Myjack, supported by Commissioner Lee Drollet.
How you doing?
Oh. Hello there.
Thank you for having me today. It's been a couple years since I've actually given a presentation to the Macomb County Commissioners. And we come here today just wanting to thank the Commissioners for their efforts that have kind of helped us with a Farm Bill program and some other conservation programs that have really taken off in Macomb County and helped us as a small government agency as well. So I put together a little presentation to show you what our accomplishments are, and want to thank you guys for that involvement that you've had with us. And with me is Christina Nicola, and she is actually Macomb County's, she works up in Kimball by Port Huron with me in her office, but she is the USDA Natural Resource Conservation Service District Conservationist for Macomb County. So in our office up there in Wadhams is where Macomb County farmers or, landlords and so forth would go do USDA supplemental programs for their land. So once again, I thank you for having me here today. I believe I was told that everybody gets to watch the presentation on their own computer as I go through this. So I'm going to probably not read through everything, but I'm going to hit the highlights that I feel are pertinent to our conservation district and, the Macomb County's involvement. So the quick background for some of you that may or may not remember, we started out as the Sanilac Conservation District, and we began a partnership with St. Clair Conservation District trying to put a Farm Bill program together. And where that came into play was St. Clair and Macomb County shared the same farm USDA office, so it naturally made sense to have St. Clair and Macomb County commissioners and Macomb County government partner with St. Clair commissioners on a single grant application that would fund a Farm Bill technician to bring more USDA dollars to this area. So since then, we're on, I guess, round 2 of it. The first 3 years went by, and we are actually approaching our 3rd year on the second round of that as well. And it's been a great success story. It's helped our district. It's helped, we've grown. The amount of monies that are being spent are growing, and the amount of farmers that are utilizing our conservation programs are growing as well. So as of September 30th, we have in our office 117 existing contracts that really total over $3 million of funding. So the highlights of that practices are the cover crops. This particular spring, like 2% of Macomb County actually was able to even plant crops this year. So NRCS rolled out what they called the Disaster Recovery Initiative, and it was really designed to get cover crops planted on all this unplanted soil. So Christina has been, in our Farm Bill technician, been very busy down, spending a good majority of their time down here trying to assist and get those USDA dollars implemented down here. Another highlight that we've worked on over the past many years is nutrient management. High tunnels is another growing program, and that's kind of like the beginning farmers are trying to get into some sort of like greenhouse initiative, essentially, and it's like $6,000 grants to put up their first greenhouse and so forth to grow produce in a local area. And then pest management, which is use of herbicides, pesticides, insecticides, and so forth, helping to better manage and scout to properly use those chemicals when and where needed. So some points of interest from Macomb County. We wanted to take a look back 7 years ago before we had a Farm Bill technician to where we are today. So in 2013, when we really didn't have anything Farm Bill going wise other than some different interim NRCS employees, in the office we determined that there was 9 total contracts, 4 of them belonging to Macomb County, and the other well, I guess, I'm sorry, there was 13 of them. The other 9 would be either like inter-county farming between St. Clair and Macomb County. There's a lot of that happens, or they would belong to St. Clair County. Fast forward, and those dollars was $116,000, and the combination was $495,000. So 6 years, 7 years later, we now have 26 active contracts that have a Macomb County farmstead address to them. That doesn't mean there's not somebody that lives on the border into St. Clair County and farms down into Macomb County. It just happens to be where their physical address that they're using for their mailing. So together with the partnership, we also have 91 active contracts that would be maybe some farming in St. Clair County, some farming in St. Clair, Macomb, Lapeer County. We can only do a sort by physical address. But totaling those together, there's $2.7 million plus, $347,000 that we can peg to a Macomb County farmstead. We have, so that's 20-ish contracts that we're doing compared to 13. We have 24 applications that we never did get funded. We worked on them, but just how they ranked out and so forth, we just haven't gotten them through the system yet. And then because of the whole disaster with the plantings and the cover crops, we have 63 new applications that we plan on working with this, starting October 1st through this next fiscal year. We don't know exactly how many millions of dollars that would work into. So for the little contributions that we've gotten, and and then the grants that we've gotten from the USDA to cover this position, we've brought in a fair amount of money and actually have made an impact with several different landowners within this region. So that evolves into what else can we do down here. Back many years ago, Commissioner Carabelli wanted us to expand some of our services, and so we kind of started working with Jerry Santoro quite a bit, and it was how do we bring this Green Macomb initiative, or we'd had a great tree sale program going on, how do we bring it to more of a southern end of St. Clair County, or excuse me, Macomb County. So we've had a few different tree sale distribution locations. I think our first one was at Freedom Hill, and the second one was, I think, the City of Warren there, and then our last one we were at the Dodge Park location. But we've only began this southern distribution for 3 years now, and the first one we had like $28,000 worth of tree seedling sales, which amounted to 14,000 plants, and it was 187 people took advantage of our offerings of a very discounted retail tree. We've also worked with Armada Fairgrounds for distribution for the northern portion as well. So fast forward to 2019, there was a big push for us to go do like online sales. In Sanilac County, it's more paper and just old style. Down here, people are more in the tech savvy and doing. So we got this online store built, and literally everything doubled, tripled down here as far as what we could see for money and orders coming in. So for 2019, I have a little typo here, but we did $48,000 worth of sales down here. And that should be 20,000 plants, not $20,000. I have a little typo there. We had 348 orders this year, so we're continuing to grow in this aspect and get those trees distributed. We had, like I said, roughly 200 orders that are being distributed through Armada, and about 150 tree orders that were going through Dodge Park. So we've had significant growth in the southern end of the county doing online sales. Some additional things that have actually just happened to the Conservation District because of the partnerships between us merging to be the Blue Water CD, the Sanilac County commissioners helping in Sanilac County, Macomb and St. Clair helping with our St. Clair office. We received a CTI grant, which is a $70,000 grant to employ somebody, and their job is to strictly work with really implementing these contracts because the workload is getting too much for Christina or the Farm Bill technician on a technical end of things. So that's good for us. We get an employee, and that's, money, being, to help these contracts out. We've also garnered a Farm Bill biologist grant, which is tailored to more conservation reserve programs, which is Farm Bill monies. But that initiative is to work with maybe landowners that are looking for habitat versus farming. They have a big push. It's through the DNR for the Michigan Pheasant Restoration Initiative. So she works with a lot of landowners between Sanilac, St. Clair, Macomb, and Lapeer counties that have that interest in restoring properties to some sort of habitat. A large one for Macomb County, just in the past year, we've garnered this produce safety grant. And there's some new EPA laws on produce safety handling. That's kind of being further implemented. This has been a law for, it's through the Food and Drug Administration, but it's been a law for, I think, 5 or 6 years. But now they're getting where they're actually going to start, implementing it on farms or enforcing it on farms. So we've been the recipient of that grant to cover this area, to work with farmers bringing their food handling or raw produce handling up to what the regulations are. And Macomb County farmers would receive a lot of that benefit because we know there's a lot of produce in this area grown. So just financial, just to break it down in Macomb County, by the time we quarter out Sanilac counties and St. Clair county's piece, I figured of these 3 additional grants, Macomb County is receiving probably between $65,000 to $70,000 in additional services because of our partnerships that we've received, and then the state's, recognizing that and awarding us with different grants versus other agencies or conservation districts around the state. So that's kind of in a nutshell. I wanted to show you guys where and how the impact of the monies that you guys have given us, how we've taken them and tried to expand that. So some just other supplemental stuff. I just wanted to break down kind of the makeup of the Conservation District. We currently are not the Macomb Conservation District. We are, still the formation of the Sanilac and St. Clair. We did name it the Blue Water Conservation District. In the event we do go through that formal merger, we don't have to try to do a rename and go through IRS tax codes and all that again. We can just be a culmination of the Blue Water Conservation District. We'd have 2 Farm Bill technicians, one for St. Clair Macomb County and one for Sanilac County. We have our CTI grant. We have 2 MEEP grants, which is the Michigan Agricultural Environmental Assurance Program. Those right now cover Sanilac and St. Clair counties. Macomb County's MEEP technician is actually covered by the Lapeer Conservation District. If I get my way sometime, I would like to bring that to our house because it's a one-stop place for the agricultural industry to come see us for their environmental concerns and conservation needs. We have our wildlife biologist that covers these counties, our produce safety grant covering heavily in this area. We also have a grant from the Nature Conservancy, and that's a pay-for-performance to do conservation cover, but that is really for the Saginaw Bay area, so nothing to do with down here. Some smaller grants, we have a hunting access program, which is really just, we have a few contracts with some private landowners that we monitor, but it's for public hunting. So I think you can go to like the Michigan Hunting Guide and find where those properties are at. And also in Sanilac County, we have a habitat grant to restore it's a 600-acre township park to do some wildlife habitat work there as well. There are 10 employees now. We've grown from the 2 or 3 when I was putting this idea together. We've grown from that to 10 employees. The Farm Bill practices, and if you have questions about those, Christina's here and she'd love to answer questions on the technical end of it. But mainly some of what we're using the Farm Bill, a lot of the USDA money for is to install agrochemical containment facilities, such as all the farm chemicals that are being shipped to farms. It's putting them in the proper storage to reduce any sort of leakage or contamination out into the environment in case a hose or something breaks. On-farm fueling facilities, there's going to be a lot of old fuel barrels that are around. We're trying to get those updated with like double wall standards. And the amount of fuel that's being stored on a farm is obviously increasing with farm size as well. So NRCS is working with that a lot to get that upgraded to today's standards. Nutrient management, which is kind of self-explanatory, balance of fertilizers in the soils, part of maybe the cover crop initiative to retain those nutrients versus washing out into Lake St. Clair. Pest management plans, that's, once again, we're covering, trying to keep the herbicides in the right place at the right time so they're used properly. There's been a big interest among public about, the bees and so forth, and that sudden bee, so we're doing a lot with pollinator habitats. On our tree sale farm, you'd be amazed the amount of wildflower seed. We put a wildflower seed packet on there, and it's amazing the amount of seed that we sell down here for just even little garden patches and so forth. I discussed the high tunnels a little bit. We've not got a lot in invasive species management, but I know that there's monies for private landowners to do invasive species management through the Farm Bill. And then, of course, some wildlife habitat management, which our Farm Bill biologists would work with those programs specifically. The primary vehicles that we're using to bring these monies in is the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, State Acres for Wildlife Enhancement, which is a version of the Conservation Reserve Program, and then through the Conservation Stewardship Program, which is rewarding the agricultural industry that is trying to do the right thing up front without having to be paid to correct it. So I've got some different pictures there, just as some cover crops and a hoop house, and I guess a wildflower planting. Like I had touched upon, the MEAT program it's a state initiative. We don't personally cover Macomb County, but I do know Macomb County has 64 verifications from the state in there. And the gentleman that does that has done a phenomenal job with working with producers to bring those farms up to the state standards to meet those verifications. I kind of touched upon these grants a little bit, so I don't want to take too long. Some other items that we do, we have some no-till drills that we had in Sanilac County. We're finding more and more use down from St. Clair all the way down to Macomb County now. They're the smaller drills, whereas Sanilac County has gone to larger items. So partnering with Macomb and St. Clair County, it's kind of resurrected a program that we thought was kind of dying. We're seeing more and more use of our no-till equipment for planting down here. We have a native grass drill for some habitat restorations. I think we even had a phone call all the way down to a golf course by Detroit that wanted to use that, and we're like, how are we going to get this down there? We weren't quite sure, but I'm not so sure that ever came to fruition. But and we also have tree planters that are available for large tree plantings. We've offered some educational programming. This year we did a fruit tree pruning workshop. I didn't know how it would go over. We had to cut people off. We started off at the small orchard. They didn't have enough room. We went to the township hall. We still run out of room. So we had to cut people off. So they had like 100, and I think the capacity was 75, but we had 100 in there. So it was something, I guess we'll try that again this year. We hadn't offered that in many years, but there's a lot of interest in fruit trees right now. Past couple of years, we've worked down here at the Lake St. Clair Water Festival. We worked with Jerry, and we've given trees away, I think about 4,000 to children over the past couple of years. We've sent a couple of Conservation District employees to work that with them. And then I have just a picture of kind of the mass amounts of trees that we pack up put in one of these buildings to distribute to people. Each annually, I think this past spring, I just did a total. We've distributed over 300,000 trees through this tri-county area that we've been working in. Let's see. I think that's about it for. But anyways, so that's kind of I just want to thank you guys for you guys.
We have a few questions for you.
Yep.
Commissioner Gillette?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for your presentation. I'm just unsure of what you meant when you talk about active contracts and how there's an increase in active contracts. I don't know what an active contract means.
So,
Okay.
the numbers are actually the amount of contracts that we've had since this position was developed and has been staffed. So those are the numbers over was it 5 years?
Yep.
So over the 5 years. Active would be like, we're actually implementing those. These are more like the.
So they're contracts to sell trees, they're contracts to till
no,
soil, they're contracts to rent
Farm
equipment?
bill practice contracts.
you sign
So
a
nutrient
contract-
management, cover crops,
Who's the contract with?
the farmer.
So you would enter into an agreement with the farmer, a contract with the farmer to assist in nutrient management or to assist
Yes.
in, okay.
Yes, financially assist as well as provide them with the technical information so that they can carry out that practice.
Okay, that helps. I didn't understand what it meant. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Brown?
Thank you. We had our good friends at Sierra Club came to this board, as you recall, and painted a real negative picture of agriculture. People's just doing terrible things to the land. This presentation gave you a little flavor of how much good things are going on in the land in our county and throughout the state for that matter. The good practices that are being done by agriculture, by the farmers themselves, with much expense borne by themselves, with some support from federal grant money. But this board wisely did the right thing several years ago by partnering with them and letting them come and partner with all of us down here to expand their programs and bring in the additional revenue that was promised. We said that there'd be a way to maybe double our money and federal dollars coming back into our county for water quality and land use preservation. And it's proven that it's more than doubled. And that's really a great thing. And the tree sales is one easy example of how much it's just been welcomed by the whole county. It's been covered. Jerry Santori, a lot of credit for you and your staff and the planning staff and your former boss before that, who took interest in the program to, support what was a good idea, and you guys have run with it. And you're two professionals. We're lucky to have you still at your post and doing a good job. And someday we'll get us looped into the right organization, and we'll all be one nice, neat organization. But we don't need a title to do the good work you've been doing, and we appreciate it, and continued success. Thank you.
Great, so I don't have any other speakers. Thank you very much for your presentation.
All right.
Thank you for coming down. We have a motion on the floor, so we'll take a vote to receive and file. Motion passes 10-0. Item 9B, Area Agency on Aging, Senior Census. Jim McGuire is Director of Research, Policy, Development, and Advocacy. Can I get a motion to receive and file?
Related to assuring that for the 2020 census, we get a complete count of seniors being recorded through the census. It's important because the census tells us for every person that's recorded as living in Macomb County and in the state of Michigan, the state gets about $1,800 in federal grants that are distributed to states per person over annually, and they use that same formula for a 10-year period, so it's about $18,000 for every person that we get counted, and conversely, for every person that lives here that doesn't get counted, we lose those dollars. And the problem is with older adults who have dual residences here in southeast Michigan and also in Florida, Arizona, and so forth. The law says if you live where you live 6 months in a day or longer is where you should be counted. But the way that they're doing changes in the census this time in 2020, it's going to make it a lot harder and a lot more risky for seniors to get properly counted. And the reason is because what's going to happen next year is in March, the census is going to send a postcard to every residence, And in that postcard is a unique identifier code that the person is to use to go to to register for the census. The postcard is going to tell them to go online and enter your census data, or call an 800 number and by telephone, because they want to get a digital census. I think a lot of you, I see some of your expressions, can imagine some of the challenges this will pose for people in low, poor internet coverage areas, or aren't internet savvy and so forth. And the problem with snowbirds is most of them are going to be down in Florida, Arizona, wherever they go down south in March when that comes, and we don't want them to say, okay, even if they can go online, fill out that form, because the form says, where do you expect to be on April 1st? That's where how many people are going to be in your residence April 1st, and if they're still planning on being in their southern residence, they will send that form in and get counted in the southern residence, even when they live in Michigan more than. So there's a lot of issues going on. So we've got a grant from the Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan to work in Macomb County to try to make sure that we get that complete count. And we're initiating a snowbird outreach and education campaign, letting snowbirds know if you live up here more than 6 months or more, don't fill out that form with the code in Arizona, Florida, wherever you're at. Either get your code from the mail in Michigan or wait till you come back to Michigan and then get your code in your mail and then fill out that form. So I'd like to ask, and what we've got a number, we're doing ads and we're communicating with senior centers and organizations to try to spread the messaging. But we're also got an ask of you, you can help us make sure we get that complete count, and that is we're producing these rack cards. We're trying to get them in places where seniors will see them, community centers, libraries, and so forth. And what I'd like to ask you to do is to help, and the rack cards explains what you should do and shouldn't do to seniors targeted to snowbirds. And if you could help us get these rack cards into places, we've been in contact with a number of the senior centers. We don't always have the contact for all of them. Community centers and libraries, we don't have a way to communicate with. So if you can grab a stack of these and carry them around with you, or keep a supply here, and when you go around and have opportunities where you're going to, or if you're members of the yacht clubs down in Grosse Pointe or wherever, get this in places where you can reach snowbirds. Now, there's a problem with that, and that is I was so excited to come here this afternoon that somebody left a box of rack cards in my desk. So I'll get a supply up to Patty on Tuesday and ask her to put one in each of your boxes as a reminder. And if you could help us spread the word, the messaging and what the explanations on the back of this rack card, it'll help us make sure that we don't lose money like we have in past years to other states getting our money when the census makes it difficult for seniors to do the right thing.
Okay, Jim, we'll certainly be happy to help. I think we have Commissioner Haw on the list.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jim, have you given thought to talking to the local municipalities about putting this on their local City of Roseville channel, for instance? Because a lot of our seniors do watch that, especially in the senior citizens areas, because they run it constantly. So it's just a thought.
Yeah, in fact, I did a presentation to SEMCOG Executive Committee asking SEMCOG to be involved in helping us get the word out. And we're working with Chuck Adica, a news personality, to do a public service announcement. And then we use some of the grant dollars to produce DVDs or put it online so that someone can download this. Some of the senior centers that have the monitors that run scrolling messages have told us they will, if we send them the DVD, we'll put our 30-second spot that we're hoping Chuck will agree to do for us. So we're working on that. But we're missing a lot, and that's where, you know, some of the centers already have taken our cards, but we haven't gotten to all of them. So any help you can do to make sure we get, even if you double coverage with, that's what we're looking for. But thank you for asking.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Carabelli?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And that's a great idea, but if you did have like a little infomercial, every commissioner here, we have our local TV stations. So for example, Shelby Township, Utica, I know Washington, a lot of them have their own news station, and they put stuff out there over and over and over, not just there, but people can see it at home. If you got something that can be distributed, I'm sure the commissioners, we'd be happy to reach out and give you a hand on that.
Is there a county entity that sort of coordinates all the, no? Okay.
No.
Local government TV, so each city has their own.
Okay.
But every city, I think, does have their own. And with that said, it's free access, and it's important information that the community would like to assist you get out.
Well, and we could probably assist, being that the commissioners cover all the districts in the whole county. I know the executive's office has some people working on that too, but I would imagine that you'd agree that you can never have too many people working on getting us money here in the state. So we will be happy to help with, we have the board briefs and we have a Facebook page and things like that, and we'll get it out as many ways as we can possibly think of to do to help you also.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I don't have anybody else on the list. Great. Thank you, Jim. Please vote. Motion passes 8-0. Item 10, appointments. Item 10A, Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. John Paul Rea, Deputy County Executive. Executive appointment with board concurrence. 4 vacancies, 3-year terms. Looks like we only have 4 people on the list. So can we get a motion to concur with the 4 people? Or would you like to speak to any of them? I mean, this would probably go pretty fast.
If there's
otherwise.
anything you need, I'm here to answer any questions.
We'll have a motion, and then we'll have a, by Commissioner Drollet, supported by Commissioner Sauger. And do we have any questions for John Paul, JP? No questions?
Which one are you doing first, canvasser?
The first one is A. So Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, Joseph Aragona, Dennis Champagne, Brandon Jonas, Patrick Mahar, I believe is how you say it, and they're the only 4. So we have a motion. Please vote. Motion passes 8-0. Item 10B, Jury Commission, John Nizal, Deputy Court Administrator. This is a Chief Judge recommendation with board concurrence. 1 vacancy, 6-year term. They're recommending Ben Aloya as a reappointment. Need a motion to concur? Commissioner Leonetti, supported by Commissioner Haw. Any discussion on this? I don't see any. Please vote. Marv, you're voting? Okay, great.
I read in here, Paul.
Yeah, right. Motion passes 9-0. Item 10C, Board of Canvassers, Fred Miller, Clerk, Register of Deeds. It's a board appointment, 2 vacancies. We have a Republican and a Democratic candidate, so why don't we do the Democratic candidate since there's only 1, and we'll vote on, can we vote on that one first? I need a recommendation for Sarah Stovall as a reappointment. Commissioner Haw, supported by Commissioner Sauger. So let's vote.
Yeah, but he needs to be here.
Passed 9-0. 10C, the Republican candidate, we have 3, Laura Mabby, Susan Rakowski, and Roy Wilson. I mean, if I could,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move to and support Lori Mabey.
Support.
On behalf of Commissioner Brown, who's...
All right, I have Commissioner Drollet, support by Commissioner Haw.
That was me.
No, I'm sorry, Commissioner Kraft. Sorry. Yeah. He really likes her. Is there any discussion on this appointment? If she receives the majority of the votes, then she will be the appointee. Please vote.
Is that Lori there?
We're almost there. All right. Laura Mabey is our Republican candidate for the Board of appointee for the Board of Canvassers by 9-0. Item 10D, Human Services Board. Board Chair recommendations with board concurrence, 1 vacancy, 3-year term.
So moved.
Gary Thompson, Commissioner Vyjak, supported by Commissioner Leonetti. Any discussion on this? Please vote. Motion passes 9-0. Item number 11, Health and Human Services Committee recommendations. I need a motion to approve A and B by Commissioner Drollet, supported by Commissioner Kraft.
Mr. Chair, may I speak?
Yes, you may.
To item B real quick. Commissioners, I know some had a concern about item B with the 5% increase at the beginning of the year. The CMH Chief of Staff spoke to the consultant this morning because the CMH Director is in Italy, and the consultant said that that 5% would not kick in until January 1st, 2021, and the contract will reflect that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you. Any other comments? Please vote. Motion passes 9-0. Item number 12, Internal Services Committee recommendations. Need a motion to approve. I will take A, B, and C, or any singular. All right, A, B, and C by Commissioner Haw, supported by? I see a nod. Commissioner Kleinfeld?
You just want to do it.
Any conversation on this? Seeing none, please vote. Motion passes 9-0. Item number 13, Public Services Committee recommendation. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Would you like to approve A, B, C, D, or all of the above?
In their entirety.
In their entirety, from Commissioner Brown. Any support on
Doing county
entirety?
business.
Commissioner Leonetti.
All in service of the county government.
Do you have something to say about these, Commissioner Brown, or should we vote?
I'm just going to say yes.
Please vote. Say yes, there you go.
There's a certain amount of decorum that's
Yes, that's right. And I have none.
Motion passes 10-0. Item 14, Records and Public Safety Committee recommendations. You have motion to approve. I'll take one in their entirety.
A, B, and C.
Commissioner Sauger, supported by Commissioner Haw. Hearing no discussion, please vote. This new one, motion passes 10-0. Item 15, any new business? Commissioner Haw.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Question for Clerk Miller. The recovery program with the elections rapidly approaching again, what's the status and where we at?
Say that again, Commissioner.
The delinquent fines and fees on past PACs.
Do you want to speak to that?
As well as I can. I'm prepared for it. I assume you're referring to the Second Chance program that we were running in conjunction with the Treasurer's Office.
Second and third, yes.
Right. That has come to a conclusion. We do have information. I can certainly get it out to everybody. We have a nice little summarized sheet of everybody who took part in it, the dollar amounts that were collected. It was, if memory serves, and don't hold me to this, but I think somewhere in the area of $25,000 or so.
Oh,
that
no,
was
25 committees.
Oh, I thought it was, well, I'd have to look.
How about, we'll send you, we have a summary.
We can
sheet
certainly get it to you.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Fred.
And I will say, the second part of that second chance, or the last chance part of that program, the Corp Council has initiated lawsuits against some of the delinquent committees, I think 3 to date. So that's an ongoing part of closing that window.
Well, I know we're in budgetary process, and I had mentioned to Fred privately, we ought to incentivize his department for the amount that they collect. Just a suggestion.
All right,
Thinking out
I'll
of
be
the
back here
box
next
again.
Wednesday for my budget proposal, so I'll remember that.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Kraft, did you have new business?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank my colleagues for approving the consulting services for $18,000. That is from our board budget, and originally, how it was supposed to go down was the total was $36,000, and the county executive's office, CMH, and the Board of Commissioners were going to split it 3 ways, so the total would be $12,000 each. Well, the county executive basically said no. So thank you for covering half of the cost for this consultant. It's going to help all of us decide whether we need to move to an authority or stay the way they are. This guy's an expert, and I just wanted to thank you guys for paying for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I think Commissioner Haw has another.
Thank you, Mr.
Newer
Chair. Real
business.
quickly, it's Commissioner Andre Duzé's birthday today, for those that didn't know that. He's sick. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
They took him out early last night for his birthday, and
Any other new business?
Ukrainians party pretty
Commissioner
hard.
Leonetti.
I'll make it real quick. Yesterday, Commissioner Majek and I and most of the staff went to the Martha T. Berry Foundation dinner. It was a very good presentation. We've got a big decision to make with respect to that, so I think if any of you want to go over there and talk to Kevin before we do anything, I think now's the time to do it. It was a good turnout, a lot of support in the community for that organization, and I think we should really take a look at what he needs and do what we can down the road here soon. Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner Leonetti and everybody else, we're trying to find all of the possible options that we would have, so we would have all the answers on whatever direction, if there was a direction you wanted to go in, we were trying to figure out every possible option that we would have and the possibilities that would occur if we went that way. So we're trying to get all of this wrapped up for everybody within the next week or so. Commissioner Leonetti or Majek, both of you attended also the Leaders Night at the DIA last Friday night. Would you like to comment on that?
Yeah,
I hear it was a great event.
That was a good time, and we actually brought our wives and both our children, and we had a good time. It was a really good turnout there. Salvatore had a great exhibit. If you get down there, the objects from the Louvre are neat. It's a Ben Franklin bust, a couple other things from their American exhibit, so really neat. Good stuff down there. The DIA is it's a really fun thing down there, and they did a great presentation and a lot of support from people around there. So make an effort to get down there and see some of those exhibits. They're really, really cool. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Majek, anything? Yeah, great. Any other commissioners with new business? Seeing no other commissioners with new business, we'll move to public participation. Any members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing no members of the public wishing to speak, we'll move to adjourn. Commissioner Majek, I heard it first, and Commissioner Drollet, supported by. Meeting adjourned. Commissioner Clerk Miller, can you give me 1 minute?
Yeah, they handled that.
Thank you.